Okay, we've got our camera back on our tripod. Notice that I've done something a little different. Normally use the camera going horizontal. I've got it going vertical. The reason for setting the camera this way is what I'm shooting is vertical. So if you're shooting something vertical, set the camera up that way. You get a lot better picture, you don't waste as much of your frame, and you don't have to go back and crop as much later, which is always a plus. The bigger your initial image, the easier it is for editing. You have a lot more control, and you're using the camera to its fullest. So I've got my shot up here. I've got my figure. We'll go here. And I've got both my lights. I've also got my overhead light, which you probably can't see in this shot, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and zoom you guys in a little so you'll be actually looking at... Whoa. See if this will work. If I can get you guys to look at the actual... There we go. Whoa, focus! Okay. Nothing like shooting an LCD screen. Alright, so I've got my lights set up. I've got both my lights and my top one all set up. Notice if you look on the screen, you'll probably see it some in this video, and I'm also going to shoot another video where we'll switch the digital camera out for the video camera, and you'll see the way the light changes as you move them across. As I move the lights forward and back, you'll notice that the shadows on the actual figure change. So if I put that one all the way to the back, I get a lot of light back in this area, and I've got a very strong light coming from this side over here. So coming this way, coming from the right hand side, I've got a lot of light. I've got a lot of light at the back on the left. If I move it light the other direction, you can see as it comes across that the light shifts as it goes around the figure. Okay? What you're wanting to do is put the lights in a position that give you the least amount of shadow. Whoops, camera went into power save. Let's take it back out of power save. There we go. You want to get enough light on the unit or on the piece to get a good shot, but not so much that you're washing things out. So I mean, if I were to bring this light right up here like this, you can see that I'm washing out a lot of the detail. If I pull it back some, I can put that detail back without casting too many shadows. You can also see on the left-hand side of that figure, there's a fairly heavy shadow. As I start to bring it back, it starts to get really, really dark. So let's bring this forward. Really, the lighting side of it is something that you're going to have to play with. Each fig's going to be different. You're going to come up with a lighting pattern that you really like, and that's what you're going to stick with, but you're going to have to play with them. So I think I've got that one about where I want it. So I got my lights where I want. I'm going to go ahead and hit my timer. Sideways, of course. Tell it a 2-second one. Press my button to let my focus come in. Then click it. And that's my shot. Okay, so that's pretty much the basic of taking a shot. If I go to turn this fig, say I want to actually turn him a little bit, do the same thing. I'll go in here and tell it 2 seconds. Let the autofocus find its range. Press the button. Okay, there's my shot. But now let's say I wanted to focus in on a specific area on the fig. Say, for example, we'll try and see on the back of this one, this little belt that he's got. Normally what you'll do if you want to focus in on an area, you can do one of two things. You can zoom in. Advantage of zooming in is you don't have to move anything. The disadvantage of zooming is your focus and your camera are set up for macro. As you zoom in, you get out of that macro range and you can get into some really, really funky shots. So what you should do is actually move the subject closer to the camera. And you're gonna get some fluttering in the autofocus, which is fine. I mean, right now, this figure is really, really close to the camera, to give you an idea. I'm going to go ahead and get this set into its spot, and we'll move the camera around so you can see just how close they really are. Okay. I mean, the distance between those two, we're talking, I don't know, maybe an inch between the two. So you are shooting really, really close when you're talking macro. You're not going to be shooting like you normally would for anything else, where you're going to be sitting, you know, like a couple of feet away from your shot, or from your subject. You're going to be right on top of it. But you can see in that one how I'm able to get the detail of the skulls and faces and things that are on his belt. I'll try and move the light a little and see if I can get a little bit better shot. I'll tell it set, and we'll take our shot. Okay, you'll notice one thing I am doing on this one, I'm actually using the autofocus. Some people do use autofocus, some don't. If you've got a camera that allows you to easily do a manual focus, where you can crank down on a shot and get exactly what you're wanting fairly easily, I strongly recommend using it. I mean, the manual is going to give you the best of, it's going to really give you some of the best shots that you're ever going to take. You're going to be with the manual because you're going to get a lot more control. See, I got a lot of light on him there, which I'm not liking. It's okay, we can probably adjust that one out. Do the same thing with this one. And you notice how it's wobbling a little every time that I move the camera? That's why you don't use the manual shutter. You do the off camera or you do the timer one. That way you don't get the fluttering. As I was saying though, with the autofocus, you get a little bit less control, so you may have to fiddle with your fig a little bit more to make sure that it stays in focus. But the majority of your cameras are going to have it, so you might as well get used to using it. On this one, I can put it into a full manual mode. Really, unless I'm doing something really, really hypercritical and I want to spend all day trying to get that shot, I don't use it. It's just not worth the hassle. The autofocus does a really good job and gives me a fairly clear shot. So, we'll move our lights again. Notice I'm constantly moving the lights. Your whole goal on any image is to get as clear a picture as possible with as few shadows as possible, and that's going to involve playing with your lights a little. Oops. So we'll take one more shot. Then we will switch our tripods around, and I will put the actual video camera in place, and we'll take some more pictures. Okay, be back.